In this episode of the Vietnam vlog, I will highlight a few things that I don't particularly like about Hanoi. The previous video focused on the positive, so let's talk more about the negative aspects in this one. Now, as much as I enjoy it here, there are some problems that you'll likely have to contend with if you're in the city. At the end of the previous episode, I was discussing the noise levels in Hanoi. And I was curious to know what local residents thought about the noise issue as well. So I ended up doing a Google search and found several websites, online forums, news articles, and even academic research papers about people complaining about the noise pollution in Vietnam. As for Hanoi specifically, the answer to this question pretty much sums it up. Is Hanoi a noisy city? Vietnam's capital of Hanoi is famous for its noise pollution, with the sound of vehicles driving, horns blasting, construction hammering, hawkers yelling, and neighbors singing karaoke, combining in a discordant cacophony.
And while we're on the topic of pollution, there's noise pollution, which I'm not a big fan of, and the air pollution, I believe, has gotten worse since the many years ago when I was first here. I didn't notice it too much earlier when I first arrived, but today, when I stepped out of my hotel, I noticed the air was particularly thick. It was a little bit difficult to breathe. So unfortunately, you may have to deal with some days where the pollution levels are a bit higher here, though that's something you'll probably have to contend with whichever big city you're in the world. Like I noticed in Korea when I was leaving there. I taught in Korea for quite a few years, and I noticed towards the end while I was teaching, it got worse and worse, the air quality, unfortunately. So it's just something you gotta contend with in Asia and East Asia, the pollution levels in the bigger cities. Another thing that I'm concerned about here sometimes is the road safety. The first thing you'll notice about Hanoi when you come here is the scooter traffic and just how chaotic it is. You really have to be careful when crossing the street. And if you're actually riding a motorbike, that's like a whole new level. I don't ride a bike here myself. I just take the Grab taxis. But yeah, you have to be super careful when you're crossing the street. The best strategy, I think, is just to walk really slow and don't change your pace at all. A lot of people, when they first come here, they'll stop at the street and then back off, and then stop again and move forward and then back off. I don't know if you guys can hear the monk chanting here. I'm just on the back side of the temple. He's been doing the same mantra for maybe 10 minutes or so. So yeah, for road safety, just be really careful when you're crossing the street. Use the crosswalk if you can and the lights. Even though sometimes they have the crosswalk available and the lights, the traffic still goes regardless. So just be aware of that too. It's a lot different from your home country for sure. Most likely, if you're from Canada or the US or Britain or Australia, New Zealand, Europe, it's like the same traffic rules do not apply in Vietnam. People don't really have the right of way here. You gotta be super careful. Super smoky outside here all of a sudden. I think someone's burning leaves. I'm gonna go back to the back side of the temple because it's kind of noisy out here again. So I'll just discuss the last dislike and sum it up with something positive because I don't want to end on a negative note. This bell doesn't look very happy. Maybe I'm talking about too many negative things at the moment. Maybe that's why it's got a frown on its face. So the last thing I dislike is the aggressive salespeople here. Though you're gonna find that a lot in the bigger cities too, right? I just found when I was wandering around Old Quarter, I got approached like every 2 minutes by someone trying to sell something. Again, I could just be saying that because I came from a really quiet, kind of peaceful environment in Chiang Mai, and there weren't too many people trying to sell you stuff there, I found. So It's just compare and contrast, right? Like relative to what you're used to. But anyway, yeah, all in all, I'm enjoying my time here, and I've had a lot of cool experiences. Saw a lot of the old quarter, which I really enjoyed. And even the Buddhist temples are impressive here. I really like this place. I'll leave a map link again in the description if you guys want to have a look here. I saw a few other tourists come by here while I was talking.
Another thing that I really like about Hanoi is the authentic northern Vietnamese cuisine. You can try amazing street food and homemade dishes at all the small local family-owned restaurants around the Old Quarter area. There's a restaurant that I highly recommend here, as you can see on the map, the Ki Dong restaurant. I've eaten there a few times already. They have a small menu, but everything they serve is so flavorful, satisfying, and reasonably priced. The restaurant is famous for this traditional northern Vietnamese food called
Ban Quan Ki Dong, which is steamroll, steamed dumplings with the fried garlic. And I think there's beef in there too. But that was really good, super tasty. And other things too I haven't tried yet, but everything looks quite delicious. Not too oily, like everything's super healthy. It seems it's a lot healthier than some other foods I've tried in Asia, but Vietnamese food just seems very clean and good for you. First impressions of Hanoi were overall positive. You gotta come here for the coffee, the Old Quarter sites, the very affordable grab, beautiful women, and don't forget to embrace the chaos. Be like water, as Bruce Lee said. Alright guys, I'm gonna go get another coffee because it's the best in the world. And I'll see you in the next episode.